What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, a clothing company where we address the human body's natural function. This is In the Image Clothing Company's podcast. This is the podcast. I just got back from playing basketball. This is episode 87 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled "It's Not Outside Yourself." Okay. Now, we have three sides to us as a company, as a whole, In the Image Clothing Company. All right. The main side of In the Image Clothing Company is one of the other thirds, where we address the human body through the skeletal system, because the fat content changes, the muscle mass amount changes, but the body has a neutral in every joint within its skeletal frame. And the key word under In the Image Clothing Company is always allowing the human body to work. The goal is natural. We address clothing because it's the only thing placed onto the human being. There's a sternum, a spine, a nose, a trachea, a jaw, stabilizing the entire body, all those things in the center of it. And if they're pulled out of their center in any way, in any sense, in any amount, by something placed onto the human being our clothing, then on an earth with gravity, our bodies that get pulled straight down from the middle of the two opposing feet, gripping inward with the arches, the two opposing hands, shoulders, hips, knees, elbows, wrists, right? The body will be damaged in those times and places. And there's always times and places. And there was times and places in my life where I was very much damaged by clothing that I was wearing. Oversized clothing in itself is an imbalance, okay? But we address much more than just clothing, but that's how we get to the body's functioning, okay? We also have In the Image Clothing Company music, another third of us, where I play fingerstyle guitar. I address how to set up a guitar correctly so you're not instantly cramping, which actually happens if a guitar is strung incorrect or set up in other ways incorrect as well. And whatever else we talk about and do with music over there. So, talk about clothing really quick and we'll get into the discussion as I do. For everybody, man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period. That really sounded like a beat right there. So I just went with it. That's cool. Pants need to be entirely above the hips, all the way up off of the hips, no restriction to the pelvis in that case. Slightly higher in the front than the rear with the waistband of our pants. I made a video a couple days ago for the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled Keeping Pants Higher in the Front. The tops that we wear, the seams on top of our shoulders need to be evenly behind the little bones at the peak of our shoulders, because our shoulders naturally will only ever work behind our head. That's how we keep them in their only neutral position. Ideally, for the edge seams of our shoulders, they are right at the very edges. That's where the functionality of the shoulder joint is, and the only place that it will ever work. In the Image Clothing Company has two things we call prerequisites, separate from where clothing sits, because there's not always laces within shoes. There's not always tags within clothing. But when there is a lace / really what it is a rope weaved across the top of the human foot, there's only one weave you can do that in that is actually shaped the way the human foot is. Today is the 27th of March, 2025, by the way, if I haven't said it already. And honestly, at this moment, I'm not quite sure if I have yet within this or not. I make a lot of content for In the Image Clothing Company at this time, so yes. In the Image Clothing Company shoelacing technique found wherever you find us on the internet. With that, we tie our shoes evenly on both feet over toward the inside, the only way we can have a balanced left to right within the human being. Otherwise, there's rotation imbalances from the feet up through the entire body. Secondly, we remove any tags that are placed within clothing, because anywhere a tag is placed, it's either causing a physical gap, altering the body's skeletal system's only workings, and or not allowing the musculature against that tag to activate, and then other parts within the body will be doing some sort of compensation because of something not doing its job. When anything within the human body isn't working correct, something else and many things have to compensate. Okay. Now, episode 86 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, it's not outside yourself. So many articulations on this, brother. All right. I was playing basketball just now, as I addressed, and I was over at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the place to be for all humans. Everybody is welcome. And while I was there playing basketball, when I say everybody is welcome, there's multiple buildings across the earth, like quite many at this point, and continually growing. So, yes. I used to play basketball, and now I do it differently. Because now my body works correct. Now I have internal rotation, and I used to be stuck in chronically imbalanced external rotation only, which is just half of the body's rotations. There's a neutral, and then there's internal from there. You can go back to the neutral, and there's external from there, and then back to the neutral, right? On both sides. Neutral, internal, neutral, external. Within every joint that has rotations. I mean, give or take, without like actually really thinking through every joint within the body, and with my knowledge of the body only being where it is currently. That's right, how rotations work. Now, my core stays activated always nowadays, because that's how the human being works, and I am now the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, and that's how I've allowed that to be something that I have founded. Allowing the body to work is because I have gone before. As far as now I speak out of personal experience, because I speak out of example. I made a weird face as I said that. Now, yeah, so In The Image Clothing Company podcast, speaking of things you can or can't see, is available in audio only, but also video plus audio is another form which you can view this in. And that would actually be the only one you'd be viewing it in, right? The other one you'd be receiving the sound waves into your eardrums only. Okay? Now, that's weird. I don't know, that hit me. I feel like I needed to like say that specifically. The ears, man, the ears are huge. The ears determine the jaw. I mean, directly. I talk about it. I feel like I need to mention it right now. It's convicting me. That's why I slowed down, as far as I'm aware. I've had a lot of jaw pain, you know, as my body has been getting back to center, as I have talked about within past In The Image Clothing Company podcast episodes. And so the ears are a big thing, just the excess cartilage that gets built up, because the ears are just the gap between the rear of the jaw and the base of the skull here. So, yeah, I've been experiencing a lot of that within the past few months. But when I play basketball, I don't feel really so content dribbling, right? Somebody will pass it to me. I'm really athletic. Don't believe me on anything, ever. And right, I say that when I do. If you've heard, you've heard. I mean it. You don't have to believe me is what I mean. Truth manifests itself to you. So anything I ever say, you don't have to take Evan Strong's word for it. But truth is truth. But in this case, just talking about my athleticism, I'm actually pretty athletic. And the way that I approach playing something like basketball has changed so much, because I don't... Well, soccer as well. I've played soccer more than any other sport in my life, as far as a ball sport goes. When I play basketball, I get passed to, and I've got the ball in my hands, right? And that's great. But then if I go to start to dribble, now I've reached out in front of my body, and you have to get your feet out of the way and put your whole body into external rotation and change your pelvis, all of these things. I don't want to get so into the anatomy, because I want this to be a discussion on the gospel of Jesus Christ, as In The Image Clothing Company podcast is. Okay. But it's not outside of yourself. Nothing is, because when you're dribbling a ball, you have to reach outside of yourself. And now you're taking your entire body's center line, front to back, as far as center of gravity, and putting it much in front of your toes. And you are falling if you don't alter your body and deactivate your own core to reach out to dribble a ball. So somebody will pass a ball to me, and I'll just kind of stop. And then just like do a pass or shoot. I'm more of a defensive player anyway with sports, but it's almost like I can't even dribble anymore. And it's like one of those things that I talk about, how it's not a limiting thing, but sports are a man-made idea. Wow. Really though. And the human body has been a long time hence. Holy cattle. I don't know what's happening, dude. Today's such a different day, man. The human body's been around as long as the human body's been around, and sports have been invented along the way, okay? So the human being will only ever do what it does, and reaching out to dribble a ball is outside of yourself. It's outside of your only center of gravity that's over your actual foundation, which is your feet. So you have to alter your entire body just to dribble a ball. Like moving, right? If you're standing completely vertical as you were just standing with your body activated as a whole, you can maybe dribble. But once you start to move forward, it's like how I talk about running. It's damaging to the human being because it actually deactivates your core to lean forward, to run. You're over your only center of gravity. You've changed all your body's positioning and all the things we talk about with running. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Running, and I went over it, okay? But with everything in our lives, it's not outside ourselves. People are going to places and trying to climb a mountain to find their inner peace. So you go all the way outside of yourself, outside of your hometown. You go outside of your comfort zone. You go outside, literally, to try to find your inner peace. Yeah. It's inside you. It's not outside yourself. There's an episode of in the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Being Behind Yourself. Similar title in ways. I understand I'm talking fast, and for some reason it's intentional. I'm aware of it. I'm not just like out of control, speedy speaking, but yeah. It's not outside yourself, dude. Anything you ever do, dude can be for the female people out there as well. People are seeking for things outside of themselves. People are seeking for fulfillment, wow, with things that are outside of them to fulfill their inner being. Okay. This is one of those moments, as is anything I ever say, because I'm no better than any other human being, no matter how prideful I am or seem to be in times. But I'm not talking down on anybody with anything that I say in this, as if like I've transcended reality, right? And I'm no longer a human being, even though I've been placed here to be one, right? It's one of those type of things, though, where in that scenario there, people try to transcend outside of what they are, and you're only you. In all the ways that we could talk about this, it comes back to just we are what we are, and our God, Jesus the Christ, designed us as us in His image. And so anything you ever try to get to or acquire that is outside of yourself isn't you. It's not outside yourself. Anything you're seeking, anything that will fulfill you, the Spirit of our living God dwells within His children's vessel, being their human bodies. So it was just hitting me really big, though, tonight. And I've noticed it because we've played basketball and other sports as well, but basketball is a big one, the way that you're reaching so far away from your own body to dribble, and you have to keep your hand above the ball, but then you have to keep the ball away from your own feet or else it'll hit them and bounce somewhere else when you're dribbling a basketball. It's a very unique sport in the way that you're quite outside of yourself while you're playing it. And there's a lot of injuries that come from basketball. There's a lot of recuperation that people are doing because playing basketball. As I mentioned, I've played a lot of soccer in my life, football for the rest of the world, right? But American soccer, I love it. And soccer is a different sport than just about any other one because it uses primarily only your feet. You can do, chesters, headers, shoulders, knees and toes, brother. Really, though. But I'm really good with my feet, and I'm really coordinated in that way. So sometimes I'll be playing basketball, and the ball will come to a place that's like below my waist or even below my chest, and I'll reach out with my foot to kind of like trap it, instead of using my hand. But with using your feet, that's your foundation. And so the thing you're using is the thing that's also going to stabilize you. And so you have to be very intentional about staying over your own center of gravity with playing something like soccer, okay? But with everything, anything, all things, a lot of people are seeking for things outside of themselves, and there's a lot of things out there that you could choose to try to get to or receive or whatever. But what came to my mind when I said receive is within American football, that strangely shaped thing we call a ball that isn't, and it's an American sport that I'm personally not so fond of. That's an entire opinion, that one point there. I mentioned that we pretty well don't talk about opinions here, but I'm making that very clear that I'm not so fond of football. But there's a lot of reasons to that as well, that are actual like reasons, not just because of an opinion of mine. But we call there's a position within actual American football with the weirdly shaped thing that is not a ball, titled a wide receiver. And anything that's like that, right? I mean, straight is the gate and narrow is the way. Wide and broad leads us to damnation. And literally, physically, within our human bodies, and that's what I'm talking about with football, American football, I enjoy throwing an American football around in the ways that I do, but I normally actually throw it like a rugby ball because that's so much healthier on the shoulders. It's actually so damaging on the shoulders to throw a football, American style. Your pinky has to be in, right? The hand's round. When you're holding a football, an American one, your pinky is sticking up like this and your shoulder's just going to get damaged because of your hand. I made a video today, actually, for the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, with the phrase that I've used so often since the founding of In the Image Clothing Company. The hands are essentially the shoulders. I think it was actually titled "The Hand is Essentially the Shoulder," but, right? You're holding an American football and your hand's in an incorrect position. I mean, this nice open position here where it starts with the thumb, comes to the index, then the middle is the farthest out, starts to come back in for that ring finger, and then comes in even more for that pinky. When you're holding an American football, your pinky is sticking out farther than the other fingers, and your shoulder's taking a beating, throwing an overhand throw like that. Rugby throws are very natural and healthy. So, wow, this is cool. This is good context on the physicality of the human being and how it operates as a mechanical machine that we've been given. Truly. Now, wide receivers within football, right? Again, it's such a damaging sport to the human body. Don't take Evan Strong's word for it, but look up the amount of injuries that happen within the American football game that is titled what I just said it was. Yeah. So, wide, anything big, anything reaching out is away from the only thing you are. And that's at your spine. It's at your core. It's at the center line of the human being that you are inside of, being a spirit, son, or daughter of our living God, Jesus the Christ, in this earthly existence that we've been placed into. So, anything outside yourself is not anything that you actually need, right? Let's talk about a little bit more physicality. As far as anatomy of the body, I talk about small guitars, half-sized guitars, very small compared to full-sized guitars that can be huge without making it an overstatement. You've got some jumbo concert, some big, huge dreadnought guitars, full-sized 14-fret, big old long things. The body's big where your arm is actually going around to reach the picking or strumming. Holy cow, right? I'm a fingerstyle guitarist, and boy, am I good at it. I'm gonna sit on that for a second. But, and I was realizing that today, I was listening back to some music that I've made because I don't currently have my own guitar. As you may know, I've documented it within past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The Greatest Battle is one episode that I talked about how playing guitar specifically has been the greatest battle of my life, truly. For the reason that it's something I am supposed to do, but maybe just not quite time and maybe certain things additional Actually, I'm certain that there are certain things additional to that because I'm aware of what some of them are. But, being inside yourself, being the closer to the center line of your being is where you're going to be. Otherwise, you're not. And it's like you don't exist, That's what I talk about with external rotation within the body, the feet pointing out. Anything farther away from its own center line that it would naturally be in its neutral location, just any part of the body, you're like falling away. We hear the term outer darkness, where we get cast off into hell, damned to eternal damnation if we are following the devil. How real do we get with this? As real as we can, ideally. In the Image Clothing Company doesn't hold back with what we talk about. I say very, 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 very bold things at times. Condemn me for what I have said, right? Because then you're only actually condemning yourself. We're commanded to not judge, and I've said it anyway. So, what, are you going to try to change it? Because neither of us could. Okay, that's sick, right? Holy cow. But yeah, I mean, we need to be within our own being. We've been given this body. This is all we are when it comes to explaining what a human being is physically, right? We don't have this life without this body, and anything outside of it isn't it. It isn't you. And people are reaching out for things, grasping at straws, if you've heard that term. Things to fix them, things to help them, things to add to their life. But you can't add anything to the human being that you are besides what you are. Even the food that you eat. Yeah, we grow until we're full grown by eating things, but what you eat comes out of you. We don't actually add anything to our human being in this life. It's just what it is. There's nothing outside yourself that you actually need. Right? I mean, we talk about relationships and how, yes, married within the covenant of eternal marriage in the parameters of what all that looks like under the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the truth of all things. I'm not going to try to explain it all exactly as it is right now within this here episode of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 86, titled, it's actually 87 though, and it's titled, It's Not Outside Yourself. It's 87. I might have said 86 earlier, but it's definitely episode 87. No doubt. As I stutter. But here's the thing, man, is being inside your own being. You are your own self, and that's all you're ever going to be. Reaching out to things and having things and stuff that will always leave, will always leave. So the thing with relationships is, yes, we become one, the husband and wife, one man and one woman only, lawfully wedded and also eternally wedded. Holy cow, we're adding something else to the law. Yeah, it's higher and holier now. Shout out to the Sermon on the Mount, given and delivered by our living God himself, Jesus the Christ. Here's the thing, though. Wow. That was conviction. Like, hey, maybe sit on that for a second. Within the Holy Bible, you can read about the Sermon on the Mount. Within the Book of Mormon, in 3rd Nephi, our living God himself in fleshly human being form, Jesus the Christ, delivered a very similar address, manifesto, if you will, meaning the higher and holier law, not really replacing, but rather fulfilling the law of Moses when he was here in this part of the earth, the Americas, but 2,000 years ago. I'm not sure exactly how that was or anything because I wasn't there and I don't know all the history that I could. Wow, right? That's great because that's truth. So anyway, yes, what we're talking about here is stuff that's convicting me. That's why I'm like having the reactions to what I'm saying after I say it. It's like, this is great for me. It's teaching me things. It's really awesome. So, yeah, we need to not try to seek for anything outside of ourselves. And that's awesome, dude. Oh, man. So, Yeah, it's all inside of you, though. Our God, He dwells within us because that's the whole thing about, right, when He was talking with the woman at the well in that Bible story, and He told her, because she was a Samaritan, she was quite sinful, as we all are, let me add. If you don't want to let me, well, nobody stopped me and I did it already, so condemn me for what I have said, right? Holy cow. He's saying it again. But he told this woman because she had done some things that were very much against the commandments. And guess what? So have I, Evan Strong. Yeah, time and time again. And he told her that she doesn't have to worship within a synagogue or like at a shrine, at an altar, in a temple, whatever it is like that. Because soon, he told her, right, it will be just spirit and truth. Because our God will come to the earth. Well, actually, not only was it that he will, but it was him speaking to her directly, flesh to flesh, human being to human being. And he just hadn't been crucified yet because he was with her. Yeah, like I'm saying, convicted, brother. This is awesome. And so he told her the truth because worshiping our living God is in spirit and truth. In other words, he dwells within us. We don't have to go dwell physically within a building we call a temple to worship our God, because even within the temple, it's within us where we're having the connection, right? Like I was talking about going to the mountaintop to find something that's inside you already. You go to the temple, but it's in you, you're feeling the connection with God. You go to the top of the mountain, but it's within you that you're feeling the connection with God. So it's not outside yourself, and it never will be, never could be. And I could never have an opinion on it because it's apart from me. The truth of all things, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yeah. And might I add, I'm using these phrases like, if you'll let me, might I add, if you will. How about just, I'm going to do it. That's how I do it anyway, so. All right. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the fullness of the restored gospel. That's where it's going to be the fullest, the most fulfillment. But even the word fulfillment, our bodies are a vessel. So is a cup or a glass or a bottle. Okay? Fulfillment is within the vessel. You're not going to go outside of yourself to get fulfillment. You won't place a glass onto the counter or the tabletop and pour next to it, outside of it, to fill it. See what I mean? We talk about filling our cups first. All these metaphors, as I say within the gospel of Jesus Christ, there's so much metaphor, so many word plays and parables, and they're literal. It's not something you have to try to understand poetry to know. It is literal, but you have to understand it doesn't mean exactly what it might seem to be on surface face level, right? Surface level face value, I guess is how you would word that. But we live in a very surface level world, dude. Again, the separation, as I say very often, within In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and this one here is actually 87, titled It's Not Outside Yourself. But yeah, I don't know what I was even saying, but this is convicting, dude. This is convicting, brother. This is convicting, dude. I just remember reaching and grasping for straws, mental health medication, therapists, trying to find a woman who could fulfill me. What? This won't happen, right? It's all inside you. It's not outside yourself. Episode 87 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, right? I didn't finish my thought that I was speaking on about a minute ago, and that's okay, I guess, because I can't at this moment remember it. So if it comes to me, it comes to me. If it doesn't, I'm still within my own being. Wow. Isn't that crazy? And that's the whole thing about within the higher and holier law. You know, our God himself, Jesus the Christ, he talked about opposing, in a sense, but that's a little bit scary to say to some, what the law of Moses said, because a lot of people said it's what goes into a man that defiles him, but really it's what comes out of a man that defiles him. And our God himself told us that because, like what I'm saying, it's what's within you that is you. Anything you place inside of you will eventually just come back out of you because it once started outside of you anyway. But you are within you. And anything that's you isn't, or let's word it the way that in the Image Clothing Company podcast episode 87 is titled, it's not outside of yourself. And any type of success that you want to feel, whatever that even means for you specifically, or achievement, accomplishment, it's only within you, dude. I mean, all those trophies on your shelf, well, is that really your shelf? It is until you sell it, I guess, or until somebody comes in and steals it, I guess, because people can't steal anything that's within you. Is that nuts? Because that's how it is, dude. But something that's outside of yourself can be taken from you. And there's a lot of things in this life, on this earth, in this world, that are outside of ourselves and will always continue to be, even if they at one point pass through our bodies. Right? You've got your favorite food, but it will just come back out after it goes in, right? Nothing that is real is actually outside of yourself. Yeah, dude, talk about hard hitting. Yeah, bro. Yeah, dude. Really, though, I mean, I think we could wrap it up right there. I know we could wrap it up right there. I think we will. I think that's what we talk about for this episode here, episode 87 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled It's Not Outside of Yourself. Because even when we do go to places like church, within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, when we do go to the temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the house of the Lord, outside it says holiness to the Lord, but inside you feel that holiness, well, inside. Inside the physical building, it's actually within your own physical temple, which is your human flesh, that you feel what you go there to feel. And you can feel that anywhere. It's in spirit and truth, not inside of granite or wood or anything else we build anything with and call it a place of worship. Because our physical body is our actual place of worship, where everything actually dwells that is real. We are in the Image Clothing Company. We will have clothing available made out of 100% natural materials, staying centered, fitting correct, and that is how we allow, keyword, the human body to work. So please never purchase In the Image Clothing Company clothing if your intention is to purchase it oversized. That in itself is, as I said earlier, a very, very, very damaging imbalance to the human being. So thank you, and thank you. The 27th of March, 2025 is today's date. Check out the other 2/3 of the company if you want. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of this here place, this familial community company, In the Image Clothing Company. Bye.